about and get into it, and that is on the impact of technical and vocational education and training on skill development in East Africa. And my guests here in studio today are Dr. Cosmas Joseph, the Regional Project Coordinator for East Trip, and Richard Muteti, CEO, Kenya Federation of Jua Kali Association, and a member of the East Trip Regional Steering Committee. Thank you so much for joining us on Africa Speaks today. Okay, let's start off with taking a look at governments in East Africa that have made significant investment in promoting technical and vocation education to solve youth unemployment. What is the significance in addressing youth unemployment as far as TVET is concerned? I'll start with you, sir.
Thank you very much, Trix, for having me here today in KTN studio. This is my very first time to be in this studio.
You're welcome.
I'm one of the East Africans who follows KTN wherever I am.
We're grateful for that.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yes.
First of all, we should understand the dynamics and the socio-economic transformation in our countries. If you read the vision of each country, Kenya, I think you have a Vision 2030.
Yes, we do.
Tanzania, Vision 2025. Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi. All countries have the vision. Even at East African Community, we have a Vision 2050. At African Union, there's 2063.
Yes, yes.
All these visions, if you read through, one common features is the issue of
youth
livelihoods, industrialization, knowledge-based economy, youth employability. Yeah. But if you look at all these, the main drivers of socio-economic transformation are skills. You cannot transform your economy without having skilled labor.
Right.
At all levels, whether at high skilled labor, middle cadre, or low level cadre, you need skilled labor. And in order to skill your people, you need affirmative actions by governments, because it is the responsibility of the government to put in place conducive policies, environment for teacher training, for learning, and the employers, so that we have the necessary skilled labor to fit into the productive sector.
Absolutely.
Now, our governments, through the consultation with the World Bank, realized the gap, especially the middle cadre in the productive sector. We have a lot of PhDs, we have a lot of masters, we have a bachelor's, but the middle cadre, where you have a diploma, certificate, these are very important people. In Kenya, you call watu wa mkono. Watu wa mkono. You need these people, whether in the manufacturing industry, in a factory, in a production, even in agriculture and farming. You need people at the middle cadre who can help to drive the productive sector.
Yes. And we're talking about the plumbers,
and
the
plumbers, the carpenters, the masonry,
indeed.
The welders, the mechanics, that middle cadre. There's a big gap. Because everyone, I think there was a syndrome where everyone thought to be educated, to have a good life, you need to go to university and have a degree, bachelor's or master's or PhD. But we had forgotten that for our economies to grow, to become knowledge-based or industrialized economy, we need a middle cadre where we have a skilled labor.
Absolutely.
And therefore, the government, in consultation with the World Bank, realized that gap, and they came up with a proposal to start this project, which is called East Africa Skills for Transformation and Regional Integration. Right. In order to support TVET institutions, which traditionally are known to produce people who are hands-on to fit into the productive sector. Okay, and I'd like to bring you also into the conversation. In Kenya, for example, as he has put it, we did shift from the more skilled labor to, and obviously training for skilled labor, and shifted to more intellectual courses, and everyone was clamoring for that, but of course we know what has happened. Everyone has a degree and no job. So what do you make of this bid to ensure that there's more skilled labor out there, and how it feeds into the economy and ensuring that young people are actually gainfully employed?
Thank you very much, Trix, for having me here. And like him, I'm a regular person here at KTN. Well, as you've rightly put it, for a while, Kenya had concentrated on white-collar qualifications. Now we have a lot of degrees and a lot of, PhDs on the streets. But if we want to develop this country, we need to invest in skills. And if you want to invest in skills, you've got to invest in the TVETs.
Absolutely.
The TVETs are in the business of focusing on skills development. And you know, somebody reminded me on my way here that China actually was developed through skills, and behind the skills were the TVETs.
Yes.
The TVET system in China is extremely developed. Here in Kenya, and of course, my background is the Juakali sector.
Yes,
You know, the informal economic sector employs more than 86% of all the total new jobs in this country.
This is true.
It is a very exciting moment for me because having joined this program, the program targets at enhancing accessibility and improving the quality of the programs. We had some problems early before. The TVETs were not. The TVET sector here in the country was not communicating and was not relating with industry.
Yes.
So it used to do its own things. So it used to churn out half-baked graduates and people who could not fit in the industry.
Absolutely.
This program is so exciting because it has brought new phenomena, new dynamics of the formation of industrial advisory boards. Now, in this collaboration and modernization of the TVETs, with equipping them with tools and new skills, it has now made the skills that are coming from the TVETs relevant to the industry. And I must remind you that among the Kenya bottom-up economic transformation agenda, and key focus are priority areas like manufacturing, where we have the leather, textiles, so on. We have the blue economy. We have housing, construction, and so on. Coincidentally, or by design, this project also focuses on those key main areas.
Is it by design or coincidental?
It's by I believe it's by design because the program has also to speak into country-specific priorities.
Absolutely, and I wanted to actually go there because each country probably has its own unique makeup when it comes to its economies, and therefore this is going to inform the kind of training that young people get. Speak to us about that.
Like for example, the recent issue on the table is affordable housing and construction.
Absolutely.
I'm happy that the government has seen it fit to give this item to the Juakali sector. My sector now, through 3 of my associations, are the ones that are producing the doors and windows. In that value chain of affordable housing, there are, I believe, around 69 products for manufacturing. We are looking forward to manufacturing them. At the same time, the ISTRIP project in this country has identified a flagship technical institution for construction, that is Meru Polytechnic. And Meru Polytechnic has now invested heavily on equipment, training, and exposure for the affordable construction. So we are saying that these flagship institutions can backstop country priority areas. You realize that we are talking about the blue economy, blue economy opportunities, seafarers, plumbers. People are saying that we don't have enough plumbers, we don't have enough electricians, and so on. So once we equip and modernize and demystify the TVET, and I don't know where the notion came that TVET graduates are underdogs. Because what I can say is that you can never go hungry with skills, but you can go hungry with a degree certificate on the streets.
Absolutely, and I'll get to that issue of attitudes towards some of these jobs in a few. But I'd like to bring in Dr. Cosmas, and I'd like to get from you, tell us why the East African Skills and Transformation and Regional Integration Project, ISTRIP, and its role is improving TVET programs in the region. They do need, of course, that kind of support. Explain to us why.
Thank you very much, Trix. If you look at the design of the project, it was designed in such a way that it improves TVET education and training systems and the policy at different levels. The way the project is being implemented is at 3 levels. One is at institutional level. There are 16 TVET centers of excellence which were competitively selected to role model the importance of TVET. These are the ones, like you said, Meru Polytechnic, we have Kisumu National Polytechnic, we have Kisumu, we have Kibit, we have Kenyan, that is in Kenya. In Tanzania, we have a National Institute for Transport. We have a Dar es Salaam Institute of Technology. We have Arusha Technical College. Then we have DIT Mwanza campus on leather. We have 7 similar institutions in Ethiopia in leather manufacturing, etc., etc. These were selected to be transformed into centers of excellence. But in the context of this project, they are known as regional flagship TVET institution, RFTIs, which are supposed to be brought up in terms of building state-of-the-art workshops, laboratories, teaching learning environment, lecture rooms, and then equipped with state-of-the-art equipment for teaching, because this is more technical education. You need state-of-the-art machineries, workshop, you mentioned them. And then in terms of size, we expect now to increase the size of the capacity of these to enroll TVET institutions. At the moment, since the project started, we started at around 6,000 in 16 these RFTIs. At the moment, as we speak, the number has almost doubled to 12,000. That is the issue of access. And then at another level, that is the national level, the ministries responsible for TVET has been enabled to improve the policy framework on how they should manage or support TVET in their respective countries. There are a number of policy documents that have been developed through the project. And at regional level, that's a second component of the project, the regional integration. That's where you read history. Part of it is regional integration. There are activities that Inter-University Council for East Africa, which is in Kampala, Uganda, where I'm based. I'm a Tanzanian by nationality, but I'm based in Kampala, Uganda at Inter-University Council, which is coordinating the project. It's known as the Regional Facilitation Unit. It's supposed to carry out some activities within the project to facilitate regional integration in the context of making sure that students within the 3 countries are able to study from one country to the other. Kenyans should be able to go to Ethiopia, for Ethiopians to Kenya, or to Tanzania, and they crisscross in order to go and acquire or access to this state-of-the-art facilities. For example, Ethiopia and Tanzania are very good in leather.
This is true.
Yeah, so we expect Kenyans who want to acquire skills or competence in leather, they should be able to go to Ethiopia or to Tanzania. Kenya Coast Polytechnic is very good in maritime.
Yes.
So we expect whoever in the region want to acquire the learning or the skills in maritime, they should be able to access. This is the regional context of integration. The same for teachers. We want to see teachers to move around from one country to the other. And the most important part at the regional level, we have been able to develop a regional TVET qualification framework. So that qualification framework produced within these countries are recognized by the competent authorities of each country. And this will be able now to facilitate the mobility of learners and the teachers and the labor in general.
Okay. Now, I'd like to bring you also into it. We touched on the attitudes towards these jobs, and also I'd like to know from you, how has the Kenyan industry, Jua Kali industry, been involved in the E-Strip project?
Well, one of the involvement is, of course, my sitting in the National Steering Committee and the Regional Steering Committee of the project.
Yes.
But however, of interest is now the attention that is now turning into a need for skilled labor. And this is a very opportune time because, as you are aware, the Africa Continental Free Trade is coming. East Africa community is opening up. Regional blocks are opening up. And if they open up and we don't have the appropriate skills, we are going to start complaining that our jobs are being taken by other people. So currently, I'm happy, and I must inform you that we are very lucky to have a very proactive TVET PS. We have a collaborative framework that we are developing with the State Department for TVET, and you are aware that these skills are not only needed in the cities or capitals, but even in the villages.
This is true.
And luckily, in this country, we have more than 1,000 plus vocational training institutions. So we have agreed and decided that these vocational institutions are going to be mirrored by the industrial clusters of the artisanal sectors across the country. That is one. Two, we have also said that the artisanal subsector, or the Jua Kali sector, if you wish, are able to backstop the key government priority areas. When you talk about manufacturing, construction, leather, textile, like one of the flagship institution is Kisumu, which is going to be doing textile. This is going to revolutionize even the cotton value chains, cotton production. What I'm saying is that I know a lot of graduates who come to my office with the degrees of education, BCom and so on. They can't get jobs.
That's true.
But you cannot work for a week if you have skilled labor. And most of you know, some of my painters associations that wait in town in the morning, they are picked every morning by pickups to go and paint. Perhaps what I can add here is that I'm very happy to inform the country, now that we're talking about skills development, that we are spearheading the recognition of pre-learning, where the skilled artisans that never acquired certifications are now able to be certified based on their skills.
This will make them more marketable?
Yes, in this country, we have a lot of skilled labor that are not certified. So their expertise and professionalism is not appreciated by the labor market.
Yes.
Now we are hoping, and we have communicated to the presidency, we need this policy to be officially launched, and we need to graduate as many skilled labor as possible. If you want me to give you a small example, is that most of the calls I get from contractors are the contractors with papers but no skills. They get contract for tiling, roofing, and so on. But once they get the contract, they call me. Oh, CEO, Juakali sector, please give me 100 tilers, 100 what? It is our people that furnish those and construct those buildings. They have the skills but no papers. And these contractors, they have the papers and no skills. That mismatch. I'm hoping that now that the focus is on a bottom-up approach, I'm hoping that we are going to clear that very soon.
Yeah, and are you working on changing attitudes about these kinds of skills? Because there's one thing to have them being offered at TVET institutions, but there's another to convince students from 4 leavers that you can actually go here and be gainfully employed. There's nothing wrong with this kind of labor.
I think it's two-way. I will not dwell so much on the attitude, but it's a two-way transformation. For example, initially the programs that were the TVETs were not appealing to us. You know, if we're talking about a businessman who is an artisan, you cannot put him there for 3 years.
For sure.
And he is the father, mother, marketing, director, accountant, and producer at the same time. So we needed to have short-term, demand-driven courses that are relevant and valuable to industry. I'm happy that now the TVET is opening up. TVETs are opening up to industrial inclusion in their curriculum development, in the placements, and I'm happy to inform you that we are now developing a dual training system, and we are now even open to receiving students from TVETs in our clusters for practical experiences and exposure. So about the attitude, from our side, I think it's a bad notion. I think, and when people are talking about, allow me to say again that you see, when you talk about Juakali or these unskilled artisans, these guys come living from Form 4. They feel, oh my God, I don't want to be called Juakali, I don't want to be unskilled, and things like that. I want to assure you that we have transformed. And now Juakali means sharp knowledge.
This is true. Okay. Dr. Cosmas, what are some of the achievements? You've spoken about some. What can you add?
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. I think, allow me first, let me talk a bit of the issue of attitude. Where we are now with the project, you could see that this is huge investment by our government into TVET. Already at the highest policy making hierarchy of our countries, they have already appreciated that TVET is the way to go. This has trickled down because wherever we are going in East Africa now, even beyond East Africa, people are now appreciating that TVET is the way to go. And even now parents, even people who are graduating in normal university education, after finishing their bachelor's degree, accounting or whatever, they now attach themselves at least to TVET institution to acquire some skills, because they know in addition to the papers they have, once they have the skills, it is easier even for self-employment.
This is true.
So that is what is going on now. We are happy that the trend now is going. People are very positive. The TVET is not the last resort for employability. It's the way to go.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to achievement, I think I mentioned a bit of the achievement earlier, that at policy level, in terms of regional integration, the three countries first, we are speaking more or less the same language now in terms of why do we need to come together. That is very important. Ethiopians, they know they need Kenyans, they need Tanzanians, the same Kenyans need Ethiopians. So we are speaking the same language in terms of regional integration and community transformation. We need to come together to share the resources that we have, the skills that we have, the human capacity we have, so that we can uplift the skills development of our countries. We have the regional TVET qualification framework, which I mentioned earlier. This is a very important tool to ensure that we speak the same language in terms of the papers. One has a diploma in electronics. I can take it to Ethiopia. The Ethiopians will say, you have this diploma. Yes. It is acceptable. You can be employed in that mutual recognition.
Cool.
That is very, very important.
Yes.
But beyond that, allow me, just give me a few, just a few seconds. I want to add something that on the bank side, E-Strip is seen as a very important flagship project which has been very, very successful. We have been invited in Dakar, Senegal in November to go and showcase how this model has worked in East Africa. Because in West Africa, there have been some discussions whether they could come up with another project called West-Strip.
Okay. Yeah,
that platform will be chaired by the president of Senegal, and they are bringing African countries to come and learn how this East-Strip model has worked in East Africa. So already, the visibility of East Africa at the continental level is going up, and we have discussions with IGAD, Intergovernmental Agency for Development, which involves many countries in East Horn of Africa. They are also discussing how they can partner with the East-Strip in order also they could borrow the model of skills development.
Now, Mr. Muteti, as we conclude, what are the long-term goals of this project?
Of course, the long-term goals of this project is to make sure that, number one, again, touching briefly on that attitude issue, is to increase the uptake and accessibility of the TVET programs by the people across the region and especially in this country. The other one is also to modernize and upgrade the TVETs so that they respond to the current market requirements of the industry. So, of course, the long-term objective is to skill the region, to skill the labor force, and to make it, up to date with the requisite skills and trade that are required by industry to develop the three countries.
Yeah, and I can imagine they'll be internationally, competitive as well.
Yes, allow me to add that in connection with the sustainability.
Yes.
Last week I was in Entebbe with the East African Community Secretariat, had brought together all the 7 IEC partner states, discussing the issue of harmonizing TVET education. One of the things that came up is that can we borrow the model of East-Strip, the way we have harmonized the qualification framework, we're harmonizing the curriculum, we are harmonizing how do we teach TVET, and how do we assess TVET, and how do we certify TVET.
Okay.
So the 7 countries are already also talking the same language, borrowing with the achievement of East-Strip. So we hope, I heard before we started the program, the Secretary General of the East Africa talking about the Confederation. We hope once the Confederation is in place, it will be easier to implement most of the framework that we are developing for harmonizing TVET education and training system in the region.
Indeed, that is Dr. Cosmas Joseph, who is the regional project coordinator for East-Strip, and we also had Richard Muteti, who is the CEO, Kenya Federation of Jua Kali Associations, and a member of the East-Strip Regional Steering Committee. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for that very comprehensive discussion on East-Strip and, of course, the importance of technical and vocational education and training. It's time to take a short break right now. We're going to leave you with Destination Africa. When we come back, we'll have more stories from across